What's up everyone, and welcome back to HateWatchers. Today we're reviewing episode 9 of Andor entitled, Nobody's Listening! Let's get right to the breakdown. Spoilers ahead. We start the episode with Miss Stick-in-Her-Butt cracking her gross neck. She's interrogating Bix, and she threatens her with a new interrogation technique. We learn that Ferrix was being used as a hub for stolen Imperial goods. Miss Stick-in-Her-Butt needs glasses.
Are you a fish or are you a thief?
She reminds Bix of Tim with 2 M's. The second M stands for memories. Stick-in-Her-Butt wants to know who the buyer for these stolen goods is, and the last time Bix spoke with Andor. Bix throws her off by asking Miss Stick-in-Her-Butt if she's even been on a date in the last 7 years.
No.
We jump to Narkina 5 where Andor and his friends are hard at work. Boss Man is suspicious of Andor, aka Keef's upbeat attitude, and reminds him that he's in jail. Nerdy McEmpire is hitting on Bix, who would like to leave, but he's strapped her down to a chair. He pulls out a pair of headphones, and then the real torture begins.
And talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. There is great significance to the passage of time.
Back in jail, we learn why Keef is so upbeat as he knocks off a panel to get into his stash of drugs. But he's high and paranoid and freaks out when the walls start talking to him. Everyone checks their hair, wanting to impress the new guy. Andor and his dealer talk about openings to escape the prison. Bix is finally released from her hell, and the interrogation continues. Keef is going the extra mile at work, and the old guy pushes them to go faster. This guy wants to hang someone named Salmon Pakistan, the guy who had the payphone Bix used. Moving to Coruscant, we see the Senate convening, and Mon Mothma is making more empty campaign promises, and the people are done with her. Her driver tells Mon that her cousin has arrived. Back in jail, the prisoners are in the tunnel, and Melshi, this guy from Rogue One, gets a name drop. They hear that there's problems on level 2. The power cuts out briefly, and the prisoners are freaking out because it's so spooky, and they're trying to figure out what's happening. An announcement tells everyone to make sure their hair looks good and keep moving. Turns out Mothma's cousin is Vex, and she's showing off her new heist money by buying Mothma's daughter a 24-karat gold dress. Kino confiscated Keef's drugs and tells him he's on thin ice.
You've been warned.
Keef is having withdrawals and gets annoyed that no one's helping him score some dope.
Nobody's listening. Nobody. Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening!
Back at the ISB headquarters, Stick-in-Her-Butt is giving a rundown of her investigation. We hear the name Maya Pei again, after it was first mentioned by Saw in the last episode. They're starting to connect Andor to the Aldhani heist, and they're monitoring Marva full-time. The prisoners hear that a unit on level 2 was fried, and 100 people are dead. Kino freaks out and sucker punches Melshi. He then does everything he can to not turn into Gollum. Back with Karn, his mother is finally complimenting him now that he's doing soul-crushing office work for minimum wage. Every mother's dream. She then starts to run down her sexual history.
A tenant. A stranger.
He says he got promoted and she rewards him with more Cocoa Puffs. The crew is back at work where the old man is slipping. Perrin tells Vel that she's a dried up old hag who can't get a man.
Who's left of any value at your age?
Mothma says to enjoy all the money she stole in the heist.
Be a spoiled rich girl for a while.
At the ISB headquarters, Karn steps out and thanks Miss Stick-in-Her-Butt for his promotion. He kisses ass and is getting aggressively horny. Turns out she's into kinky stuff.
I'll have you in a cage on the outer rim.
They've captured a rebel pilot and Stick-in-Her-Butt is jumping on the work-from-home bandwagon.
I'll interrogate remotely.
Mothma and Tay are discussing money laundering because, like with every politician, some money has gone missing. Tay wants to bring in Davos Skolden to help them out, but it sounds like he's a criminal. The ISB is titillated by having a pilot in their custody as he's an accomplice of Anto Krieger, who Luthen wanted Saw to work with in the previous episode. They're planning to kill the pilot and use the ship as bait. In jail, Andor is on shopping cart duty. The old guy is shaking and can no longer check his hair. They carry the old guy, but he won't make it, and Kino and Andor stop to help him. A doctor rushes in to give him a life-saving booster, but the old man has already had 6 of them. The old man's had a massive stroke, so this lazy doctor is just gonna kill him. Andor asks the doctor what happened on level 2. The old guy comes to right after they injected him. What a shame. Kino asks about level 2. Turns out there was a man released from level 4 who ended up on level 2 the next day, and everyone was fried. Realizing he's never getting out of here otherwise, Kino is willing to answer Keef's questions about escaping now, and the episode comes to an end. Well, we've reached that point in the video where we have to decide if this episode was a great watch or a hate watch. This episode was just okay. They were really trying hard to drag out the tension through the entire episode, and it's just too long to make it work, especially when there's minimal payoff in the end. This is going to be one episode that's viewed better when watching the episodes before and after back to back to back. So for that reason, this episode is a debate watch, somewhere in between great watch and hate watch, although the season and the series itself remain a great watch. What we saw and learned here didn't justify that it needed its own episode. Much like episode 5, it drew out scenes and interactions and developments that didn't need to be drawn out. We expected more from episode 9 given the previous formula of building up the story over 2 episodes before the payoff in the 3rd episode of each story arc. So the payoff must be coming later, and let's hope that the stakes are ramped up given that they're drawing this arc out longer. Kino's realization that the Empire's recent crackdown will keep him in jail until he's dead was decent. It probably could have been presented better, but it was fine. It was cool to hear Melchi's name after eagle-eyed viewers recognized him when he was introduced in the last episode. Melchi plays a part in the events of Rogue One and is said to have had a friendship with Andor by the time the movie takes place, so we're assured to see Melchi escaping or being busted out with Andor and being spurred to join the rebellion. Speaking of escaping, Luthen was conspicuously absent during this episode. I've been getting the feeling since the last episode that Luthen was going to eventually break Andor out of prison, so that would give both Andor and Melchi an easy path into the rebellion. Lastly, this show seems intent on referencing the different rebel cells and their leaders around this era, so maybe they'll be playing a role here soon. Thanks to everyone who joined us for this video. Comment below, how do you think Andor gets out of jail? Does Luthen bust him out, or do Andor and his compatriots escape on their own? Please remember to like the video if you liked it, and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on Andor. Thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next one.